They range from champion footballers, past and present, to men and women of all ages from all walks of life. The common thread is their love of football, the bric-a-brac, the mementos, the trivia and the rarities. You will find them scouring junk shops, at sporting fairs and in the rooms of Australia's most prestigious auction houses. In this show we meet that burgeoning breed who are prepared to spend their hard-earned cash on a piece of memorabilia from years past. It might be a medallion, a footy jumper that has seen better days, or a scrap of paper with the name of a great champion inscribed forever. It may be displayed elegantly in pride of place, or quietly tucked away and put on display on special occasions. They're a rare group with a deep knowledge of football and its personalities. They are the collectors.
On this show we meet Carlton's great premiership fullback Geoff Southby, a dyed-in-the-wool hoarder. And we track down a primary school headmaster who's been hooked by the collecting craze. Two men who are without doubt collectors. You can find Ross Moor on the internet. His Carnegie Collectibles has quickly established a niche market in this fast-growing technology. Moore is a primary school principal who spends his leisure time on the lookout for the unique and the unusual.
As well as being a great business for me, collecting football memorabilia is also is a hobby of mine. This is one of my favourite pieces. It is a 1943 premiership trophy where Richmond were premiers in 1943. They beat Essendon by 5 points. This trophy was presented to Bernie Waldron, who played in the centre that year. In fact, he played in the 1942 premiership grand final, and he played in the 1944 grand final as well. Some great names on this side. Jack Dyer was captain. Another name familiar to many people would be Len Ablett, who's, I think, Gary Ablett's uncle, played in that team as well. This is another premiership trophy, a lot less ornate than the other one. The other one was a beautiful looking piece, I think. This one is fairly plain and probably a bit boring, but it's a very significant premiership. It's Hawthorn's 61 flag, their first premiership, the first of quite a few. They beat Footscray this year. Terrific game, very famous grand final. I bought this one off one of the officials, who was actually the boot stutter at the time, and that's another one of my favourite pieces. Another one of my favourites are these glasses. These were put out by Greg's Honey in the late 50s. It probably cost you $2 bob for a jar of honey, a glass of honey. And through the years, people have collected these. Very, very hard to get. I've got the full set there, as you can see, the 12 teams. These now sell for at least $100 each, particularly if they're like this one and they say Greg's Honey on the bottom. Beautiful looking glasses. It's interesting, if you went into a shop in town and bought an expensive glass these days, I don't think you'd be paying $100 for your glass, but a terrific collectible, and it's, I'm really pleased to have the full set. It's taken me a long while to collect them. This is a great piece for Collingwood collectors, a really good piece of memorabilia. Jock McHale retired at the end of the 1950 season. He was a very famous Collingwood identity, of course, played from 1903 to about 1920, coached Collingwood from 1911 to 1950, so in that time he had a huge following. And this is a lovely piece by itself anyway. In fact, it's got the picture on the front. It's by Weg, who still does the Weg posters today. This must have been one of his first pieces in 1950. The thing that makes this particularly good is that it's covered in autographs. There's probably 50 or 60, probably 100 autographs in this. Naturally, it's got the players from the 50s, but also it's got players that go back from their famous sides of the 20s when they won flags from 27 to 30, 35 and 36 premiership. There's some great names from those teams as well. This is another terrific Collingwood piece. It was to celebrate the 1953 premiership. They had a dinner. I like the black and white ribbons on it, just gives it an extra little touch. A photo of the 1953 premiership team, and once again it's a piece that's covered in autographs. What makes this one, I think, particularly good is that this side has got players that played right back to the turn of the century. The most famous one would be Dick Lee, who played from about 1907 to 1921, and I think led the league goal-keeping nearly every year in that era. He's also very famous for that terrific mark he took, which the photo appears in quite a few places. Other players on here like Dummett and a couple of the others actually played in the 1902, 1903 Collingwood premierships, which really makes it an outstanding piece with these very hard to get autographs. The other side, as you can see, is covered in autographs, and these are all the guys from the 53 Premiership, as well as other people who are at the function, like I noticed the Mayor of Collingwood signed it, and people like him. So another terrific Collingwood piece. Football pennants were really popular in the 50s and 60s, and in fact I've seen them right back into the 30s as well, but they don't turn up very often. Terrific pieces of memorabilia. As you can see, they've got the names of the players on them, a photograph of the player on a couple of them. What makes these ones particularly good is that they also have the Olympic rings. Olympic memorabilia is also very collectible, and this appeals to two sorts of collectors, the Olympic collector and the keen football collectors. These ones, I think, are really good. They would have had a pennant for the 4 teams that made the finals in 1956. Footscray was the other team. I haven't got that pennant. Be one I'm after. This is an interesting one. It's the Collingwood one, and actually on the bottom of it, it says Collingwood Olympic Premiers, and now Collingwood weren't premiers in 1956. Melbourne were premiers. They must have sold these pennants, I think, with these small pieces attached, and you removed them if your team got beaten, or otherwise perhaps you bought them and added it to your pennant. But this one is interesting because it says Olympic Premiers Collingwood, and they weren't. As well as collecting grand final records, collectors also concentrate on the carnivals, the interstate carnivals. This one is 1924, a beautiful football record. It was played in Tasmania that year. It's got some terrific photographs through the record of some of the players and officials from that time. Beautiful condition, very, very hard record to get, worth quite a bit of money. What also makes this record, I think, even more valuable is that I've also got the scoring card and fixture that went with this game. It was put out by a hotel at the time, which is just in itself is a great piece of memorabilia, but going with the record makes both of them even more valuable. Well, football cards have been around for a long while. They go back into the 1800s, late 1800s. Some of them are very easy to get, some of them are really difficult to get. These ones here are amongst the hardest of all cards to get. Put out by the Weekly Times in about 1910. There's 84 cards in the set. Beautiful looking postcards. These ones, they were actually designed to be posted to other people. These ones are unused. It wouldn't really make much difference to the value if they were used. These ones are in virtually perfect condition. Terrific portraits of the early Fitzroy players from 1910. I think these would probably be worth probably around about $400 a card, around about that. If you think there's a set of 84, I don't believe anyone has got the full set. It makes it a very expensive set of cards to collect. But you very rarely, if ever, see them on the market anymore. Right, footy cards don't have to be back near the turn of the century to be worth a lot of money. These ones came out in the 50s and 60s, very hard to get and very collectible. Also, these, because they're Coca-Cola, put out by Geelong Coca-Cola bottlers, they also appeal to the Coca-Cola collectors. So there's two types of collectors would be after these. These are very hard to get in any condition. These ones have all been stuck into the album, which is a beautiful looking piece. These ones came out in 1957. I think there's about 24 players there. They also had a set in 1958, and once again, a great looking album. These ones are blue with all the players there. Beautiful cards. And then they had a set in 1962. There's 24 cards in this set. It's got that great looking album again. Being 62, there's plenty of familiar names there because many of the players here played in the 63 Premiership side. Polly Farmer there, Fred Wooler, who was captain, Colin Rice, John Brown, quite a few of the players, Hugh Routley, Geoff Rosenau, although he was emergency, didn't play on that side, Bill Goggin, lots of players there from the 63 side. So another terrific set of cards.
The bar in front is Mackay. Up goes Southby. Southby recovers very nicely.
There have been few more elegant fullbacks in the history of the game than Carlton's 268-game veteran and Team of the Century star Geoff Southby. For him, the good old navy blue gave him the ride of a lifetime.
And upside Southby with great judgment.
Meeting Geoff Southby today, one of the greatest Carlton players, in fact recognised by Carlton as one of their 25 best players. A season, covering 14 seasons, several premierships, involved in at least 4 premierships, inducted into the Football Hall of Fame, and we're looking at his marvellous collection of memorabilia today.
Well, Michael, yes, look, I've managed to collect a huge range of memorabilia over the years. Being involved in football obviously has a great tradition. There's lots of things that come out of football that
Yes, so
associated with.
you've kept it all and you've carefully preserved it, looked after it, lovingly looked after it.
Yes, well, look, for example, I suppose some of my most prized possessions are my Victorian jumpers, the big Vs, which this is an example of one here, and you know, it's fond memories of me playing in the game. So I think this particular game was the one where I played in Adelaide back in 1973. So that was a special moment for me to be able to represent Victoria.
Right, and how many Victorian jumpers would you have?
Well, I think I played 15 times for Victoria, so right. I would believe that I'd have 15 jumpers, but I do recall over the years I think I've given about 3 away for charitable functions, for auctions and things like that. So, yeah.
And some interesting jumpers here, not Carlton or Victorian.
No, well here if we take, this is the Western Australian state jumper that, now I played in a game in Western Australia in 1979. It was the centenary game for the state of Western Australia. No, it wasn't a centenary, it was 150 years. And this particular jumper was worn by Stephen Michael, a legendary Aboriginal player, a champion player in the West. I think his son's who's playing at the moment too in the AFL. But we exchanged jumpers at the end of the game. That was a special time for me. We look at the South Australian jumper. Most Victorians wouldn't be all that fond of this one, I know that, but being the Crow Eaters jumper. But this particular jumper was worn by another legendary, a footballer, and that was Rick Davies, who played with Sturt in South Australia, represented with South Australia a number of times. Also came over and played with Victoria, played with Hawthorn for a season and a half. So Rick was a great player and a great bloke, and we had a bit of a relationship over the years playing against each other, and we exchanged jumpers. And
you're going to get them to sign these jumpers at some stage?
Yes, look, I think as time goes by, it would be very valuable exercise, I think, to catch up with these blokes and
Certainly
get them signed. I'm sure we can. This particular one is a special one for me. This is the Sun, now the Herald Sun obviously, but the Sun All Stars team from jumper from 1980. I was selected in that team. This obviously the Sun All Stars team I think only went for a few years. So this one's from the 1980 when I had a pretty good season that year and was lucky enough to be selected in the team.
And then selected for Australia? Yes,
well, I played in the All-Australian Championships in 1980 and Victoria happened to win that particular championship in 1980 and was played in South Australia in front of a very hostile South Australian crowd, and we managed to win that, and I was selected in the All-Australian team in 1980, and that's the jumper. Would have loved to have been able to wear it for the country, but unfortunately, because of Australian football, it's not played anywhere else in the world, so unable to feature it on my back. But here it is there, and what a memory that has for me.
One of the greatest over here.
Well, here, I mean, this is what.
That's what it's all about.
What it's all about for me, I suppose. Playing at Carlton, I was so lucky that I had the opportunity to play with a great club like Carlton during a very successful era. The old number 20, look, Carlton was a fantastic club to play for. This is an example of one of the jumpers that had many wears. I played in many games with this one probably over 2 seasons because they weren't too keen on you having a jumper every year and taking it away.
Right.
So.
And again, how many of these would you have now, Geoff?
Carlton jumpers, I would probably have 4 or 5 Carlton jumpers that I've collected over the years, yeah. As I say, our property stewards were fairly mean men in those days. They weren't too keen on.
Well, just as an example, one of your Carlton jumpers, probably signed and inscribed and dated, probably be worth at least about $5,000, somewhere between 5 to 10.
Is that right?
Yep.
That's well, I better go and do the right thing and put my name on it, I suppose. Yeah.
After the break, more from the Southby collection. You're watching The Collectors on the Fox Football Channel.
And here we have some trophy milestones in the career of Geoff Southby. A marvellous array, a variety. We have salvers, we have footballs, we have medallions, wine buckets, photographs. Perhaps one of my favourites, I suppose, would have to be the football. Geoff, what can you tell us about the?
Yes,
about
Michael. This was to celebrate my 250th game at Carlton. It was a game against Collingwood too, I believe, and. This was presented to me. This is the actual ball that was used in that game.
That was used in the game,
yes,
right?
And
okay.
it was presented to me by Ross Faulkner. Now, Ross Faulkner, had, along with Tommy Sherrin, were the two legendary football manufacturers. And Ross, they used to bring a Sherrin and a Faulkner football in before each game, and the team captain used to select which one they'd want. And they used to that was used to be the way it happened in those days, and but Ross, we happened to use the Ross Faulkner football that day, and Ross was kind enough to present me with it and mounted it with a plaque on it. So,
but again, if it was signed by yourself and as many other players, probably worth something in the region of about $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, perhaps a little bit more.
True. There you go. No, I better not kick it around with my grandchildren or anything like that.
Needs the signatures.
Yeah. Okay.
Something that's really fascinated me is this lump of rock. It looks like a piece of marble or quartz. Geoff, what?
So I hope I don't drop it. It's got a bit of it's a piece of quartz with some silver figurines on it depicting gold mining.
Right. Okay.
So this is one of the more unique prizes that or trophies that I've got from football. That it was. The Melbourne Times used to do an article on the football every week, the Carlton football match each week, and there was a legendary reporter called Wacker, and he had his feature article each week was entitled Wacker on the Wing, and Wacker used to give his gold, silvers and bronze awards each week, and I happened to win the yearly award.
Right.
I shared it actually with Alex Jezelenko that particular year, and it was 1978. And Wacker was fairly artistic in his own way, and certainly mixed in fairly artistic circles. And he had a prominent silversmith prepare this. He actually told me that he went to Bendigo, collected some quartz because I came from Bendigo.
Right.
And then he got his friend to put these figures on it and make these figures. So.
And it's signed by the silversmith?
Signed by the silversmith here.
There's a plaque there, yes.
There's a plaque, little plaque saying...
and it's dated as well?
Yep.
Good. Okay, then we have your premiership medallion.
It's from 1979. When we won the premiership in 1979, actually beat Carlton too, Michael. I know you're a Carlton actually beat Collingwood. Better cut that out. Actually beat Collingwood in 1979, and I know you're a Collingwood supporter. Sorry about that.
Yeah, not at all. They have to lose sometimes.
Yeah. But this is the medal that they present each year. This was this 1979 version. Mm-hmm. And
now, does it have your name anywhere on it? Yeah.
Well, can't see anything there, Michael. No, it doesn't look like it.
If I were you, should have it engraved along the rim, so that it can be easily identified as your particular medallion. Okay,
well, I'll take heed of that and make sure I do that. This one is from I suppose, the highlight of my career, which is the 1972 premiership, when Carlton kicked the record score against Richmond. The record still holds, 28 goals, 9 we kicked that day, so still the record score in a grand final in AFL, VFL history. But yeah, this is the medallion that each player is presented with, depicting the...
your position on the back?
Yes, on the back it's got the team positions, including obviously mine, and the symbol of sporting excellence on the front.
Yep, that's a great design by Anders Matsaros,
right?
Hungarian, actually.
Yep, and
migrated to Australia.
Yeah, so it says here Victorian Football League, Carlton Premiers 1972, and it's got all the players in their positions on the back. So
it's beautifully presented too in this stand. It makes it very attractive. One of my other favourites, only because I like a good lunch, is this wine bucket.
Yes, the wine bucket, the ice bucket, hey? It's,
Yes, I mean it's something functional and it's quite attractive. It's got this border of grapevines and...
yes, well, this was...
Do you ever use it?
We do, yes. When I get the Silvo out every now and then and give it a good clean, which I did recently to try and get it in reasonable condition for this. But this also commemorates my 250th game at Carlton, along with the Ross Faulkner football, that was presented by Ross. But this was the Carlton Football Club has presented me with this this award to commemorate my 250 games at Carlton. There's not a great number of players that have achieved that over the years. It's probably less than 10. So it certainly commemorates a special moment in my career. And quite often we'll get it out and whack a nice bottle of white or something in there, or a bottle of champagne. And put it to good use. So it's got some functional qualities in it as well. So.
And we have another beautiful silver salver here with a very similar border of grapevine. Tell us about that one.
Yes, this was presented to me by the Carlton Football Club to commemorate my 100th game. So presented to Geoff Southby on the occasion of his 100th game with the Carlton Football Club. And it was the 22nd of June 1975. So it's had a bit of use too over the years, and comes up reasonably well with a bit of silver on it too.
So used on special occasions.
Yes.
And then the Truth Gazelle Award.
Yes, the Truth Gazelle Award. We don't the Truth newspaper, a very prominent newspaper in its day. It struck some awards throughout the 70s, and particularly early 70s, and then later on in the late 70s. I think there might have been a bit of a lapse between, but I'm not exactly sure of that. But yeah, they this was an award for the best full-back for 1973, and so they gave positional awards and overall awards. I think in these, because they had a big dinner function like the Brownlow Medal thing, and I was lucky enough to receive or to win 2 or 3 of these awards over the years. The word, the term Gazelle is so much a part of Australian football, and Roy Gazelle, the legendary footballer who, with the catch cry up there, Gazelle, and so this is sort of the theme of the Gazelle was very much in keeping with their particular awards. So.
And still in rather good condition. A lot of photographs, Geoff. These tend to be some of my favourites because there is so much history attached to each of them. I tend to prefer the black and white ones because it's so much more dramatic. Now, if you had the photographs signed down the sides by the players, something that's worth relatively little would be worth about $3,000, $4,000, something like that. And you've got quite a collection there, I see.
Yes, well, having represented Victoria around about 15 times, we were lucky enough to get a photo for each of those occasions. Right. So there's a number there. This is from 1972, the Australian Football Championships, the big carnival that was run in Perth, which Victoria won, and I was lucky enough to be part of that team. And obviously, it also features some of the great names in Australian football: Kevin Sheedy, Barry Davis, Royce Hart, John Nichols, Alex Jezelenko, just to name a few. Francis Burke there. So certainly a cherished memory for me.
Well, we can go on for hours and hours and hours. You've got a marvellous selection, and this is only the tip of the iceberg, basically. Geoff, and I understand the sporting tradition continues in your family.
Yes, Michael. My daughter Eloise has had a wonderful time with netball, and over the last 5 or 6 years, she has just actually been selected in the Australian Commonwealth Games team for Manchester, has now played something like about 24 or 5 tests for Australia, but she was absolutely delighted the other day when she was selected for the Australian team. She's also a member of the the Melbourne Phoenix, the National Netball League team, and of which I've been I'm the immediate past chairman of the Melbourne Phoenix, and spent 5 years, 5 very enjoyable years working for the Phoenix Club in trying to get them to the top of the tree in national netball, and this is an example of in 2000, the year 2000, the Melbourne Phoenix won the premiership. They beat the Adelaide Thunderbirds by 1 goal, an extremely exciting game, and this is a magic photo, or a photo of a magic moment for me, when just not long after after they won that particular premiership. And my daughter Eloise, up the top, that's Eloise, and obviously some other great players at Sherelle McMahon, and of course the legendary coach Joyce Brown, who coached the Melbourne Phoenix that year.
And good to see signatures all around on the mount.
Yes, this is an example of something that has been done properly, I suppose, is it, in terms of all the signatures. And,
absolutely, yes.
And this is a limited edition photo presented to Geoff Southby in appreciation of services rendered to the Melbourne Phoenix Netball Club 2000 premiers, and this is number 20, my number, I suppose, in football, number 20 of a limited number of 100. So.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Geoff, it's been an education, it's been stimulating, it's been exciting. To see the collection of a really great player still being maintained and properly preserved and looked after. And thank you so much for sharing it with all of us.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much, Geoff. Thank you.
Whether they slogged it out in the rain, in the mud, or spent hours at flea markets and second-hand shops, the results have been quite staggering. Football treasures that are lovingly cared for. For Geoff Southby and Ross Moor, they're two men who are proud to be collectors.